Hi, I'm continuing my viewing of the Otto films this week with Otto der Außerfriesische, a title that translates as the Outer Frisian, referring to his homeland of northwestern Germany and also a parody of E.T. In this new story, Otto lives in a lighthouse in the middle of the blank, featureless, but somehow beautiful Frisian countryside. He sells mock-up lighthouses to tourists and is a local jack of all trades. But when a business that plans to build a test track for a high-speed train infiltrates the area, Otto realizes he's going to have to reunite with his long-lost twin brother and travel to Miami to find him and save the day. It's very much a parody of the German Heimat film genre, which gives a sentimental and usually nostalgic melodrama of rural life, but there's some deliberately clever undercutting. There's a whisper of Jacques Tati to a lot of the humour and the visuals. And there are jokes like a sheepdog watching its flock using CCTV. There's more modern cultural references like Mission Impossible or Knight Riders, fairly standard for 1989, and music video spoofs of Michael Jackson's work. There's some fantastic photography. It's the best looking film of the series so far, really showcasing the extraordinary beauty of the Frisian countryside, particularly with the red and yellow striped lighthouse standing out in this forest sea of endless green fields. But it's disappointing that the film winds up then going back into the same tropes as the first two films of the good-hearted, eccentric country boy going to the big city, winning the heart of a girl who's out of his league, Frauke, the kindergarten teacher who was formerly Benno's sweetheart, as Otto goes to Miami, and we get a lot of culture clash humor. We get a lot of jokes with Otto's pidgin English, which don't really translate unless you understand the German, but they are clever. And he even manages to blunder onto the set of Miami Vice, where he finds two very impressive lookalikes for the two lead actors. And we even get a big name cameo that non-Germans would recognize with Steffi Graf, at the time presumably the world's most famous German, who befriends Otto and helps him on his quest. It's generally a very enjoyable film. It's light-hearted. It has a nice little edge of subversion to it, as well as the more traditional comic elements. And in general, I enjoyed it a great deal. There is always the drawback, unfortunately, as with a couple of the previous, or one of the previous films, that the racial politics is problematic. Awareness of black people and the politics of that is, I can understand, being quite different for Germany in the 80s. Even today, Germany has a much smaller proportion of black people in its population than the UK does. But there is a word used in dialogue that is, I'm not going to say what the English translation is closest to. It's not the very bad N word, but it's the quite bad N word. And there is at least a punchline where a racist character who warns Otto of all the various Cubans and blacks that he has to watch out for winds up being horribly assaulted while he's in Miami. But it turns out it was by a Bavarian. That aside, and I can forgive a lot of that because it's cultural relevance. It's not hostile. It's just a lack of understanding of context and cultural pressures of the time. That aside, it is enjoyable. As I say, it's the best looking of the three films. But the format here, I think, is starting to get a little stale. And although there are two more films with the Otto character, I'm hoping that they change things up a bit so that it doesn't wear out its welcome.